Well, folks, buckle up, because here comes another round of What the Hell is Happening, the geopolitical edition. Former president, then ex-president, then newly re-president Donald J. Trump, a man who once looked directly at a solar eclipse and thought, yeah, that seems like a great idea, has now decided he alone can solve the Russia-Ukraine war. But not in the traditional way of supporting the victimized nation, reinforcing international law, or, acknowledging reality. Instead, in true Trumpian fashion, he has decided to negotiate peace for Ukraine without actually inviting Ukraine to the table. Because really, what does Ukraine have to do with Ukraine's war? Yes, in an astonishingly on-brand move, Trump has cozied up to Russia for negotiations without the pesky interference of Ukraine or the European Union, because who needs those when you have the master dealmaker himself? It's like mediating a bank robbery settlement with only the robbers in the room. Let's get one thing clear. This is not a negotiation between two equal parties. Russia, in case anyone forgot, and Trump certainly has, is the aggressor. It's the country that decided, hey, let's annex some land, ignore international law, and bomb civilian infrastructure while we're at it. Ukraine, on the other hand, is the victim fighting to preserve its sovereignty, democracy, and incidentally, the very principles of Western civilization. But here comes Trump, swooping in like a discount real estate agent who just found a way to flip a war-torn country for some quick cash. His idea? America might help Ukraine, but first, Ukraine has to let the US assess its raw materials. Yes, the man who once promised to drain the swamp is now suggesting we turn Ukraine into a literal minefield for profit. Trump's idea of diplomacy appears to be rewarding Russia for invading Ukraine while treating Ukraine like a tenant behind on rent. He has refused to acknowledge that Russia is the clear aggressor here, instead muttering vague nonsense about both sides and suggesting that maybe, just maybe, Ukraine should be grateful he's even considering helping them. And what does Russia have to do in this grand peace deal? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They just have to sit back, watch Trump undermine the entire Western alliance, and wait for their next territorial snack. Imagine if this logic applied elsewhere. A bank robber steals $1 million, but instead of arresting him, the police negotiate by saying, okay, you get to keep the money, but the bank must give us access to their vault first. A house gets broken into, and instead of confronting the burglar, the homeowner demands the neighbors prove they have valuable furniture before calling the cops. A country illegally invades another, and instead of holding it accountable, the US president winks, shrugs, and tries to make a real estate deal on the side. Oh wait, that last one isn't hypothetical. Remember when America used to be the leader of the free world? That was fun. Now we've got Trump handing out participation trophies to authoritarian regimes while treating democratic allies like annoying customers at one of his failing hotels. Rule of law? Gone? Ukraine's sovereignty? Negotiable? American credibility? Flushed down the gold-plated toilet at Mar-a-Lago. And let's not forget, Trump isn't just doing this alone. He's also actively sidelining NATO and the EU, presumably because listening to people with actual geopolitical expertise is just too much work. Instead, he's making America look like the guy who shows up late to a group project, does zero work, and then tries to take credit for the final report. Except this time, the final report is whether or not Ukraine gets to keep existing. With this level of diplomatic genius, what's next? Maybe Trump can strike a deal where Poland has to hand over its coal reserves in exchange for security guarantees. Perhaps Estonia needs to let America assess its tech industry before NATO troops are allowed to defend it. Or maybe Trump will just go full circle and sell Alaska back to Russia because honestly, at this point, why not? And while he's at it, Why not just rename America's foreign policy the Please Don't Hurt Us Doctrine? We can swap out the stars and stripes for a white flag and start issuing commemorative Vladimir Putin bobbleheads at the White House gift shop. This entire situation is not just embarrassing, it's dangerous. Trump's refusal to hold Russia accountable, his sidelining of democratic allies, and his ludicrous demand to profit off Ukraine's suffering make this one of the most disgraceful betrayals of Western values in modern history. A real leader stands up to aggressors, supports allies, and upholds international law. Trump, on the other hand, is treating this war like a bargain bin business deal where the highest bidder, preferably one with authoritarian tendencies, gets to write the rules. So congratulations, America! We're now officially in the business of letting dictators call the shots while demanding a cut of the victims' resources. Freedom, rule of law, democracy, cute concepts. But in the Trump doctrine, there's only one principle that matters. What's in it for me?